Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast channel. My name is Meg and I have been working in health and wellness for about 10 years now. I hope you're all doing well. I am doing very well, apart from a little bit of hay fever. The sun is shining, it is boiling hot, my kind of weather. I absolutely love the sun. I am recording this in the sun, which is kind of heavenly, really. You can't ask for more than that. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about or build more on what my last podcast episode was about. So, my last podcast episode, I talked about kind of stripping wellness back to its core and what wellness is, and how it will differ for different people. And I very briefly talked about the mind, the body, and the spirit. And when you kind of learn wellness, and especially from more of a holistic approach, this is kind of the triangle or the three pillars, if you like, that kind of tick wellness off. So some people are going to resonate with more of it than others, especially the spirit. And I think today I'm going to talk about the body and wellness in the body, because I think the mind and the spirit, they're not the first things that people necessarily think of when they think of wellness. I think for the average person, you say wellness, they think exercise and diet. Like that's the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe after a little while, they might then go, oh yeah, mental health. And then for some people, I don't even think the spirit would even come into it. So I think we'll start off with the body and wellness within the body and then go on from there. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, wellness within the body. Hi, my name is Meg, and you are listening to the Wellness Musings with Meg podcast. I am a fully qualified beautician and yoga teacher who has studied and worked in health and wellness since 2017. I have been obsessed with wellness my entire life and have always wanted to share my passions more. If you love health, wellness, and yoga and want to learn more, this podcast is for you. I will be bringing you all things wellness, from diet and lifestyle to beauty tips and tricks, and of course, yoga as well. So grab yourself a green tea and find a tranquil spot, and let's jump in. So I just typed in wellness in on TikTok just to see what would come up, and kind of as I suspected, when you type in wellness, more of the TikToks are based around the body rather than thinking about the mind and the spirit. And I think that's because it's where people first go to. That's the first thing you think of. When a lot of people think of wellness in their mind, if they were to have a collage up of things that include wellness, you'd have like someone out for a run, someone walking their dog, maybe in the gym, drinking water, lots of vegetables. That's kind of the first thing that people think of. And I do think that if you're on a wellness journey, that your body is a good place to start. And science has shown that the body can affect the mental and the spiritual, especially the mental. So what I mean by that is, if you're someone who maybe is going through depression, there is, for example, you've got the dopamine diet. Your diet can influence and can help with alleviating symptoms of depression, anxiety, things like that. It's the same with water. It's the same with sleep. They've all been shown to help with mental disorders. So if you're on a wellness journey, I do think that focusing on the body first is quite a good step to begin with, because if you start going in with the spiritual and the mental, you kind of, I just think the body needs to be in the right place for your mind to then be able to be there as well. But that's just a personal opinion. Again, everybody's going to be a little bit different. And I do think that there's kind of four main things when it comes to the body that are the most important things for your wellness. There obviously are others. There's an endless list of things you can do, which is why I brought this podcast out. But to begin with, I think the four main things to focus on is exercising, your diet, water, and sleep. So those are the four things that I'm going to kind of go over more than anything else, because I think they are a good place to start. And when people really are really beginning their journey and they're sort of starting right from the off, I don't tend to tell people to cut things out unless it's something extremely dangerous. which I've actually never been in that position. But instead of it being a case of, going cold turkey on things like smoking, for example, or drinking loads of caffeine, swapping it out with something else, or just carrying on and adding more of wellness or more healthier options in, is a good way to begin. And then as you kind of get the ball rolling, it's easier and easier to then start taking the negative things out. Especially with things like smoking, I find if someone came to me and wanted to stop smoking, and or wanted to change their skin, for example, let's say they're having a facial and they're like, oh, I really want to make my skin look better, what do I do? And then I say, well, you could spend thousands of pounds on products, but the most important thing is your kind of diet and your lifestyle. And then they go, oh, okay, well, what can I, let's work on that over the past however many months. What can I do? I'd then start off by saying, okay, well, let's get you out in fresh air, walking, let's get some exercise into you, let's focus at the diet, let's get loads of water into you, because that in itself is quite a big lifestyle shift if you're not already doing it, and it can be quite hard for a lot of people. If on top of that, their thing that they kind of keeps them sane a little bit, I guess, well, not sane, but the thing that relaxes them. So if it is cigarettes, for example, if I turn around and say, yeah, we're going to go cold turkey on the cigarettes, stop completely, and I want you to live this, like every day, I want you to get an hour of exercise and then eat a perfect diet and drink 2 liters of water and sleep for 8 hours. If it's just not going to happen, it's too much for them. Simply giving up the cigarettes in itself, cold turkey, is going to be too much. So I'll either say, like, oh, maybe, for this next 2-3 weeks, focus on getting 2 liters of water into your body, or drinking loads of water. Or maybe it's a case of exercising a bit more, getting them outside a bit more. It can be such a small thing. And then kind of just be like, oh, why don't you try cutting down, just having one less every day, or one less between now and when I next see you. It's a slow process. I think that is something that's important to remember when you go on a wellness journey, is that it's not a quick thing. With all the will in the world, it's not easy to have this wellness journey and to change. You are basically changing your life, so it's not a completely easy thing to do. And I think it's important as well to remember to be kind on yourself. We all have days, we all have moments where we fall back and we don't, I don't know, go to the gym for a week, or we don't, or we go out on a night out and we drink loads of alcohol, or, it happens to everybody. Everybody is going to go backwards. But when you then pick yourself back up and you go, okay, right, maybe I shouldn't have eaten an entire share pack of M&Ms all to myself in an hour of an evening. Instead of being like, right, that's it, I'm done, I've had enough, this is just not working for me. But like, no, okay, it happens, I've done it, I can't change the past, but I can change the future. And that's a really important thing to remember when you are on your wellness journey. You can't change the past, you can control the present, and you can change your future. So I think we'll start off with exercising and why exercise is so important. There are so many benefits to why exercise is important. And for me personally, with someone who suffers or has suffered in the past with anorexia, I was really poorly when I was younger. So diet and exercise for me are things that I've almost been fascinated by my entire life. But I've obviously suffered with body dysmorphia, as a lot of people who have had anorexia do. And I think exercise for me, it's a way of kind of worshipping my body. It's the same with diet. And I think everybody should go into the mindset of that your body is your home. Your body is your home. It's your temple. That's how I like to think of my body. That's how I kind of worship my body, if you like. It's my place. It's where I have to be all the time. People come and have conversations with me, but they don't have to be with me all the time. You are the only person that you have to be with 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. You are always with yourself. Your body is always with you. So if you're not happy in where you are, that's a long time, a really long time to not be happy. So I think things like exercise are so important in that respect, because whenever I go and do a workout, whether it's swimming or running or walking outside or stretching or doing yoga or Pilates, literally doesn't matter what I'm doing. In that time, in that moment, in that space, I'm like, okay, I'm doing something good for my body. And some things that are really worth thinking about, and some of the best things you can do, is things like lifting weights, which every time you lift weights, you're actually strengthening your bones as well as your muscles. I always like to think of exercise as exercising for your future, and maybe not necessarily exercising for an aesthetic look, exercising for health. So I know that when I get older, because I've been working out for so many years now, and I've been lifting weights and doing cardio and doing yoga and stretching for so long, when I get older, my bones are going to be really strong. And if I fall or anything like that, I'm more or let sorry, I'm less likely to actually really seriously hurt myself. So, and you can start exercising at any age. Just because I'm sitting here in my 20s saying that, my bones are going to be strong because I lift weights and because I do this and because I do that, doesn't mean if you're sitting here listening to this and you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever, that beginning isn't going to make a difference. When I teach my yoga classes, I see a huge difference in people regardless of their age. I've had people start my classes and start coming to my yoga classes at like in their 70s, and even then they actually feel, and you can see a difference in their strength, in their flexibility. So it doesn't matter what age you are, just go for it and just do it. But yeah, lifting weights is going to be really good at kind of creating that bone density. Yoga has also been shown to improve bone density as well. Core is super important too. Anything you can do to strengthen that core. I mean, it's been talked about for years how important core is. And like one thing I do at the moment is Pilates, and I find that that is such a challenge, and that is so good for the core and the whole body as well. It's not just focusing on one thing. Cardio is great for the heart. Obviously, we all want nice, strong hearts, so getting your blood pumping. And I often think of cardio for me in the gym. I get very bored, like just standing on a cross trainer or on a treadmill and just going. So I love to swim. I absolutely love swimming. I love walking. I try and do other things as my cardio, to be honest, because then it doesn't feel like cardio. But the another thing with swimming as well is that if you're someone that suffers with achy joints, swimming's really nice because it kind of takes the pressure off. And if you place your head into the water and you swim, properly, rather than trying to keep your head stuck out and your shoulders stuck out, you're going to work on breathing as well. So you're going to strengthen all your lungs and your lung capacity, and that's also really good for you. You're controlling the breath. It's similar to in yoga when you learn pranayama, which is breathing techniques. It's similar kind of thing in that you're controlling the breath, you're breathing at certain times. I think that swimming is one of the best exercises you can do. But that being said, from a masseuse perspective, it's a really good thing to do if you're swimming properly. If you're someone who's hyperextending their back because you're arching, because you don't want your shoulders and your hair and your face to get wet, you're going to end up causing issues. I have a lot of people who come and have massages with me because their lower back hurts and their shoulders hurt, and it's because they're like in a really awkward position as they're swimming. So yeah, if you're going to do it, if you're going to swim, just go for it. Put your head in the water and swim properly. And another thing to do as well is stretching. Stretching is so important. It breaks down lactic acid, which will help to stop your muscles from aching after you've exercised. It helps to detoxify the body. Stretching is fantastic. I always think of the analogy of like two people um, who one stretches and one doesn't stretch. And let's say they both fall on some ice, which happens, or they slip on some ice, which happens. We all slip on ice. If anyone's been anywhere icy, they've slipped over. It happens to all of us. And let's say that both of them slip into a split position. Now, let's say neither of them can actually do the splits, but the one who never ever exercises and never ever stretches, they are going to do some serious damage to that muscle. If they slip into a split position, your body gravity will pull you down. If you really force it, your body will literally just go into that position. You could end up ripping, tearing, severely injuring that muscle. Whereas if you're someone who stretches and you slip on ice into a split position, you might not be able to get into the splits, but your muscles are used to that, and you probably will, pull a muscle, it will hurt, but you're not, the comparison of pain and the comparison of injury is huge. It's really vast. So stretching, I think, is really, really important. And getting fresh air, I think, comes under exercise as well. I think it's a really good thing to just try and get maybe like 10-15 minutes outside. That's actually one of the reasons I got my dog, was so that I could get out and every day and breathe loads of fresh air in and just kind of get used to that. Walking is such a good sport because you're not putting much pressure on the body, but you get a lot out of it. Whatever you decide to do when it comes to exercise, is have fun with it. Like, just do something you enjoy. There's nothing worse than forcing yourself to do exercise that you don't enjoy doing. It's something that you'll never keep up, and then you won't see the benefits. If you love what you're doing, you'll actually enjoy doing it, and you'll do more of it, and you'll get more out of it for longer because you're actually excited to do it. So I think that's something really important when you're going into exercise to think of. And then the next thing is diet. And everybody's going to have a little bit of a different opinion on a wellness diet. If you're someone who works out a lot in the gym, it's very protein based. If you're someone who worries a lot about weight, maybe doesn't exercise so much, I hear people say all the time that carbohydrates are evil. And you might be somebody who is vegan or vegetarian and or eats meat. Like, everybody seems to have a very different opinion on diet. And that is okay. The way I think of it is that you need to listen to your body, whether that means getting some blood works done and seeing what you're lacking in, um, or trying different diets and seeing how you feel as a person. You need to listen to your body. I take the analogy of birds, that birds are all across the globe. There's thousands, millions of different breeds and species. Breeds? Yeah, breeds, species. There's loads of different types of birds. But you can have omnivores, carnivores, herbivores. Most of them are herbivores. They all have a different diet. And some of them will literally be eating for survival, but they survive. And I know we're not looking at surviving, we're looking at thriving when it comes into wellness, but I think it's important to look at the fact that we are all human beings. We all come from different parts of the world. We all have different genetic material. We're all have different DNA. So therefore, we probably are all going to need different things in our diet. There is no one size fits all. I think the very basic for most people, get your fruits and vegetables in. That is like basic. That is just, if you're someone who can have fruits and vegetables, I know some people have allergies and things like that, but just get it in, get a massive variety of plants into your body, because that's going to make such a huge difference. It's just going to help you so much. It's where all your minerals and vitamins come from. So fruits and veg, I think, like, basic, just get them in, get them. We know how good they are for you, so just get them into your system. Educate yourself, like, find a diet that works well for you. I'm not going to sit here and preach and say, oh, you should be doing this or shouldn't be doing that. I think as long as you're not living off of processed foods and sugar, and you're getting good amounts of fruits and veg in, I think that's a really good place to start. And then from there, just see what works for you, see what is best for you and your tummy. Having a good variety is important. We hear so much and about prebiotics, probiotics, gut health, and so that variety is important as well to consider, which is why fruit and veg are so good, because there's thousands and millions and trillions of different fruits and veggies. So just get them into your system. And then I think, again, one of the most important, if not for me, the most important thing is water intake. We're made up of 60 to 70% of water as human beings. That's a lot of water that we are made up of. Well, I can remember when I was at college and they were teaching us about how important it is to be hydrated, and your blood cells will actually shrivel up like a raisin a little bit as they're moving, your red blood cells, if they're not hydrated, if you're dehydrated, and they actually puff up and they're really healthy when they are hydrated. So water is so important. I think it's something you can't skip out on. It's something that I can't express enough how important it is for people to drink water. It brings nutrients to the cells, it detoxes your body, it protects you against, it protects your joints and your organs. There was a study done in 1945, and your brain and your heart are made up of 73% water, lungs are 83, your skin, which is your largest organ on the body, is made of 64% water, muscles and kidneys, 79%. So all of your organs, they all need water to function. So if you're expecting to do well with having no water, I can't, my brain can't process that it doesn't, you need water plus organs to equal a healthy organ. And if you don't like water, just find something where you're getting that hydration in, whether it means you're drinking, I don't know, cups of tea and maybe having green tea instead, or fruit teas, fruit juice. I mean, I know they have sugar in them, but at least you're getting your water intake. Freshly squeezed juices are another thing. Just be careful of your teeth. Do whatever like put some cucumber and mint in your water to try and flavor it a little bit. Just try and do something to get that water in. It's better to have water from squash, for example, than no water at all. And maybe just try and swap things out. You know, if you really do want to take wellness seriously, instead of trying to, I don't know, drink, like instead of having like 4 Coca-Colas a day, have three and some water instead for a week, and just see. I cannot, water is just something that I cannot express how important it is. It really, it just helps your whole body to function so much better. And so, yeah, drink your water, drink your water. And the last thing is sleep. And I think a lot of people forget about sleep when, again, when I look at wellness, people always focus on the diet and they focus on the exercise and they focus on drinking water. But sleeping is something that I don't see very much of. And that is so important, to get your 8 hours or 7 hours. Just get sleep. When you're unwell, what's the first thing your body wants to do? It wants to sleep. And one of the reasons that you know that you're under the weather is because you are sleepy and drowsy and tired. And that just goes to show, when you are under the weather, your body needs to heal, so it needs sleep. So when you sleep, your body heals. And that goes across the board all the time. When you sleep, your body heals. When I was again at college, they taught us that your skin does most of its rejuvenating hours between the hours of 10 and 12. So 10 p.m. and 12 p.m. is when your skin and your body goes, okay, let's get into this rhythm of healing. And so I think that's really important to remember, that between the hours of 10 and 12, if your skin is doing the most amount of rejuvenation and healing, your whole body is doing the most amount of rejuvenation and healing. It's detoxing, it's getting rid of the toxins in your body, it's sorting everything out. It's just, sleep is so important. If you're starting to exercise as well, you'll probably find sleeping help is easier. If you struggle to sleep, exercise probably helps you to sleep because you're wearing yourself out. There's a reason children will be more tired after they've had a busy day, and it's because they've been exercising and moving their body more, so their body needs to rest and recover. And it's the same sort of principle. So sleep and exercise do work hand in hand, but you're going to struggle to exercise without the sleep, because if your body hasn't repaired and healed and rested after exercise, then you're going to struggle to exercise. And if you struggle to sleep, sometimes getting that body moving is going to help you to sleep, because you'll just make yourself tired enough to actually sleep. But I'm not a doctor, I'm not a sleep psychologist or anything like that. If you are having serious issues in any of these areas, whether it's exercise, diet, water, sleep, if there's anything seriously medical going on, obviously speak to a doctor or speak to a therapist if it's something that maybe needs to concern with that. Maybe you're exercising too much, maybe you're eating too much or too little, and it's more of an issue psychologically rather than an actual, just not having the right information or not wanting to do it properly. Yeah, sleeping helps with your mental and physical health. So sleeping does help with mental health, and that has been shown, and there have been so many studies. That was a form of torture, I believe, in World War II, was they had a load of soldiers and they would not let them sleep, and they wanted to see what would happen. And the soldiers went completely crazy. I remember someone telling me this in a history class, that these soldiers just went completely, like, psychologically insane because they hadn't had sleep. So sleep is so important for your brain health and your brain function, but also your body health and your body function. So yeah, I feel like I've thrown loads of information at you and I've just fired away, but I think those four things are the most important thing with wellness, and they're the most, probably the easiest thing to incorporate into your life to begin with. And like I said, just start off with one, see how you go, make tiny little changes, and then as you go along you can kind of start adding more and start taking things out. So maybe start off with a 5-minute walk every day, or start off with drinking an extra glass of water every day, or sleeping, or trying to work on your sleep, things like that. Yeah, in the future on this podcast, I definitely want to bring people in who specialize in all of these areas and hearing different opinions from different people. So yeah, that will all come in the future, I think. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to talking with you again soon. Thanks. Bye.